Yo, yo, yo. Majesty Hottie here. Just giving a new video after being on a break. And this time I'm talking about the Boston Celtics and the problems that they've been going through this season. At the start of the season, a lot of people picked them to be one of the teams that would be able to get out of the Eastern Conference and make it to the NBA Finals, along with the Milwaukee Bucks. But halfway through the first half of the season, coming up to the All-Star break, they have been one of the most disappointing teams, we'd say, from the whole season so far. They've been hovering around the 500 record for the most of the season. And looking at their offense, they're a team that's 15th in the league, and they've got a pretty average defense as well at 14th. And when you look at the team and the way they've been organized, I'd say that while someone like Brad Stevens does have some blame for the fact that they haven't been coached particularly too well and they haven't been able to play to the strengths of players like Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, I'd say one of the people that deserves the most blame is their general manager, Danny Ainge, the legend. And while he has done some good things, I mean, there's been a lot of things in the lead up to this that have led the team to look at whether he has been the best person, and in this scenario, could he be the one that loses his job? I mean, looking at the start of this season, when Gordon Hayward left the Celtics to go to Charlotte in free agency, there was a trade on the table with Indiana for a signing trade, which did involve Miles Turner. And when you look at some of the things that Boston lacks as a team, especially front court depth for Hayward, seems like something that the Celtics should have taken straight away instead of pretty much letting Hayward leave for nothing. And when you see something like that, it doesn't help with the fact that with a team like Boston, their free agency signings last year or coming into this year weren't particularly too great, and it's left them with a lot of poor depth for the fact that picking up people like Jeff Teague and Tristan Thompson wasn't exactly the best pickups for them, for the fact that these two players are players that are on the tail end of their careers and aren't exactly given the production that we did see both of them in their primes in the Eastern Conference. And when you're competing with teams like Brooklyn and Philadelphia, these two players won't be able to guard the likes of Kyrie Irving, James Harden, and then Joel Embiid for the Sixers. And with these two players as well, they haven't exactly produced from what people have expected of them. While they did have a good signing a few years ago in Kemba Walker, Kemba's been really inconsistent with the form that he's produced, for the fact that he has had major injuries that he wasn't exactly able to perform to the level that people expected him to. And losing in the conference finals to the Miami Heat was a big upset in many people's eyes, which didn't see coming, as the Heat looks like a weaker team on the front end. And another thing with the whole thing that's been going on with Danny Ainge has been the draft prospects that he's had in the last few years. When you look at the last few picks that he's had since Jason Tatum, we've had Robert Williams, Grant Williams, Romeo Langford, Peyton Pritchard, and Aaron Naismith, excluding Desmond Bain, who was traded to the Memphis Grizzlies in the trade during the draft. And when you look at these players, these aren't players who have contributed to the team in a meaningful way. While players like Robert Williams, Time Lord, Grant Williams, and Peyton Pritchard have provided some offense and provided some value to the team, it hasn't been enough to a level where it would be the fact that they were good draft picks or steals, which were able to help them in a championship run. And even for a small thing and a small player who isn't exactly a superstar but is someone who provides great production for the team, when you look at the fact that they traded away a player like Matisse Thybulle to the Philadelphia 76ers during the draft, that is something that was a massive error on Danny Ainge's part, for the fact that when you have a player like him, who is a great defensive guard, that would exactly be what the Celtics needed in terms of adding depth to their team and adding a player who can provide all the things that they have been looking for. Along with that, when you have a team who's had 3 conference finals in the last 5 seasons without any finals appearances, one of the things that you do have to think about is what is missing with the team and what has happened to them to allow them to get part of this situation where they are not able to get to that next hump and not able to provide the services that they do need to get that extra step. And looking the way that we do look at the teams this season that projected the Philadelphia 76ers and the Brooklyn Nets to look like the cream above the cake in the East. And it will take a lot to get Boston to reach a point where people do think that they can actually contend with these two teams, and especially for the fact that both of these teams do have high production players who play exactly into the weaknesses that the Celtics do provide. So this seems like something that they do need to improve on. But looking at that, per Shams, the well-renowned NBA journalist, the Celtics are looking to improve upon that with a few trades. Per him, they are looking for a trade, and one of them is Jeremy Grant, who is having a breakout season, averaging 23 points, 5 rebounds, 2 assists, and one of the contenders for the most improved player. Along with that, one of the players that they are looking at as well is Nikola Vucevic, this big man, the center, playing at Orlando Magic, who has been averaging 24 points, 11 rebounds, and 3.7 assists. But with these two players, the Celtics would have to give up an assets, and quite a few assets on that point, considering the fact that both of these two players are quality frontcourt players who would be able to extend the production of the Boston Celtics and improve upon them where they could be able to contend for a championship. So you have to wonder, what would they be able to offer for him? In the fact that, would it be something like Kemba Walker? Would it be the last dribbles of the trade picks that they do have? Or would they have to pull off something that we haven't heard of before, or the rumors that we haven't heard that anybody would be in this trade? But with that, I think that they do have to be careful for the fact that if they do give up more players, their depth will absolutely be screwed to a point where it will be smaller than we've seen it before. But that's just what I wanted to discuss today. Like and subscribe, leave a comment if you feel that Boston have reached their end point with Danny Ainge and if they do need to let him go, or what is the problem with the Boston Celtics that we have seen right now and what do they need to improve on. But peace out.